Hey, this is Russell, and I work at the video store, the place that we can go to every week when it's movie night. On days like today, when the store is quiet, I get to chat to my friends about the films and the series that we're loving. All right, let's do it. Let's open up the shop.
Did you see that thing yesterday on the TV? It was ready, interesting!
How's it?
Good morning, Russell.
Good morning.
How you guys doing?
Good, dude. How are you doing?
I am a lot better.
Yes.
A lot better.
Why?
No, we're going to get into it. There was a reason why there was no episode on Tuesday,
Yeah.
for those who missed our little notice. But we had the wildest weekend at the Bioscope this past weekend, and so I'll explain it.
Cool.
Welcome to the video store. Thank you for popping into our lovely video store. I have got myself a G-Force here,
Hello.
who is an editor. We're not working a shift.
Yeah.
We've got ourselves a Cole.
Yeah, just a call.
Single
Single one.
Yeah, there is only one.
Yeah, there
You
is
are
only one, dude.
You're a singularity,
Yeah, that's me.
and you are a copywriter, digital copywriter, creative copywriter. And my name is Russell, and I'm the owner of the Bioscope, which is an independent cinema here in Johannesburg. And we get together usually on Tuesdays
Yeah.
to have these chats, which we refer to as the clerks chats, where we are uninterrupted as we stand behind the counter of our video store,
Yep.
catching up and talking shit. Occasionally there's a guest episode, and that's usually on a Thursday.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was wild. On Friday night,
Mm.
I was having this lovely dinner party, thinking about the wonderful weekend ahead of us at the cinema,
Cool.
where I got the notification that the power went out.
Yeah.
And when we were in the throes of load shedding, it's relatively common, and we don't report on these things. But
Yeah.
when the power goes now, it's a problem.
Yes.
Because that means like some fucking substation, something's blown.
Yes.
And that means it could be long. It could be extended. The power only came back in the early hours of Tuesday morning.
Damn.
So it was wild.
Uh,
And it was one of those things like, you know, when you have a cold and your nose clogs up and you're like, what was it like to have a nose?
Yeah, you forget.
Like, I've forgotten the luxury of breathing through my nose. It was like that, where I was like, oh my God, like we're now in the caveman
Yes.
era. Like we're now foraging for berries. Like
Yes.
I can't remember a time when electricity flowed through this fucking building. But it's wild. And we kept in close contact. The 44 Stanley people were lovely. We made it through this really big birthday party, which was on Saturday morning, which was great. But then, unfortunately, there were a couple of screenings we had to cancel till we eventually brought in a generator, like hired in a
okay.
mobile generator, and made it work.
what
So,
happened
yeah.
to 44 Stanley's whole solar system? They used to have a big solar system. I remember when we were at AFTA, they had like TVs up that were showing like their solar system and how much power it was generating and everything.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's that's an old school thing. It reduces their load, but it's not
okay,
plugged
it's not-
into the system.
oh,
you know.
boo.
No. But anyways, we're back. We're
Yay.
here. We're going strong now. Shit. All right. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Should we do a little hey did you guys see?
Let's do it.
Okay, do you want to kick things off? G-Force?
Sure thing. Hey, did you guys see? I believe, as of now, The Boy and the Heron is on Netflix.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is we've spoken about it several times, the Hayao Miyazaki film, along with quite a few other of his films and other Studio Ghibli films. It is now on Netflix for everyone to see.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And you should,
Should rewatch it as
because
well.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was good, and it was always destined to go onto Netflix,
Yes.
and I think that's why when it was screening in cinemas in other parts of the world, South Africa didn't get it.
Yes.
So I think everyone was reluctant to just take the cinema rights because they
Yeah.
knew it was always going to go to Netflix.
Yes.
But a company did.
Yeah.
Shout out to Gravel Road, and we had the most incredible screenings at the Bioscope.
Yes.
And as we said, it's a very insular film. It's very much about him working through his you know,
end of his life, basically.
his visions. Yeah. This is Miyazaki as a filmmaker, and it was made for him,
Yeah, very
which
much
we always
so.
thought was a very interesting thing to point
Yeah.
out, as
But I
opposed to being made for the audience.
Exactly. But I think that means all of Ghibli's movies are now there, including Grave of the Fireflies, which wasn't for a long time.
Okay.
But that's on Netflix now as well.
I'm putting off watching that. I
Ooh,
have to
boy.
watch it.
Have you never seen it?
No.
Oh, we watched it at Varsity. It is a good cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two little kids in World War II.
Yes.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's heavy.
Hey, did you guys see there is an Ayrton Senna Netflix series
I did not see
that is coming to Netflix on November the 29th.
Okay.
Ayrton Senna was sort of somewhat before our time,
A little bit. He was like early 90s.
and he famously died
Yeah.
in a race, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he hit the wall like instant
Which
death.
is wild.
93 or 94?
There's not a lot of those cases. I mean, it is a very dangerous sport.
I mean, there was at one point
There
earlier
was
in
at
the
one
days of
point.
Formula One. So like 3 or 4 drivers would die every year.
Yeah, it's
It was
wild.
wildly dangerous.
Do you guys ever see the video of the death of Kyalami?
Oh no.
I think you've mentioned it before.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
It's
wild.
fucked. Don't watch it.
No,
It's very violent.
and of course now the world is F1 befork as a result of Drive to Survive being
Yeah.
such a successful Netflix
Right. I
series.
still haven't watched it.
So I think it'll be good to go back and see his legacy.
Yeah.
I tried the documentary, but it was
I was about to say, did you watch the
there is
documentary?
a Senna documentary which is
Yes.
also on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which also, this is how things work, folks. They put that out
Yeah.
months before they know the biopic is coming, so that
Yeah.
the discussion starts. I'll never forget a woman in marketing saying, if I'm involved in some particular like eczema drug that
Yes.
she has to help market, like months before they even mention the drug, she'll try and seed into the conversation like dry skin, and dry skin's a problem. So they like sort of create the discussion first before they
Yes.
give you
The
more,
solution.
you know?
Yeah.
No, but there was a comedian has got this little bit that's floating around Instagram where he's talking about like, remember how kids just used to have casts?
Oh, right.
Like growing up when we were kids in the 80s,
Yes.
like they were always just like kids in casts.
Yes.
It's like that doesn't happen anymore. It's like it's a good thing that doesn't happen anymore. It's the same as F1 drivers dying. So yeah, that should be good.
Yes. I
Yeah,
hope
that will
so.
be great.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see what the original title to Blink Twice was?
Oh yeah, we've spoken about
Have you spoken about
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Oh,
I think
damn.
Perrin brought it up.
I think Perrin brought it up.
Yeah.
But we definitely spoke about it. So yeah, Blink Twice is Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut, which has
Yes.
done
Yeah.
so well at the Bioscope, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, and we kept it going. We brought it back. It's so
Nice.
cool. It's
That's
a great
rad.
psychological thriller.
Mm.
It's got a whole level of Epstein-esque
No.
toxic masculinity, elements to it. But its original title was called,
Hussy Island.
Yes.
which is amazing.
That's like
And
hectic.
but you can also understand if you've seen the movie
Mm.
why they would change it, because it does give a bit away.
Okay.
Right.
It gives
Is the
away.
island actually a...
Well, so I think we can speak about it because I actually want to get into something.
Yeah.
The island isn't one giant vagina.
Oh, damn. That's what I thought it meant.
But these women are taken to a private island that is owned by Channing Tatum, who's
Yeah.
this like tech billionaire, and he's super charming, and they have this frivolous, lovely time where they just drink and party and eat and drink and party and
Yeah.
eat until they start realizing something's off.
Right.
And without giving too much away, the kind of reveal is that something bad is happening on this island and they're not remembering it.
Okay.
They're being like drugged in a way. And so there's
Shit.
this nefarious thing where the men are doing stuff to them
Right.
as women.
Fucking hell.
So the one way to sell Blink Twice, which we spoke about, is it's a great psychological thriller, very similar to Get Out.
Hmm.
But Get Out was special because it had this beautiful, smart commentary on racism
Yes.
and what it's like to be black in America.
Mm.
This is a great psychological thriller where it's able to comment on toxic masculinity
Yes.
and Epstein type figures
Yeah.
and these sort of powerful men and taking advantage and all of that.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that thing, man versus bear?
No.
Yes.
Where women say that they feel safer around a bear than they do around men, which is like fucking
An
insane.
actual bear.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to, funny enough, bring up, hey, did you guys see that there was a woman in this P. Diddy case
Yes.
who revealed at one of these parties that she didn't drink the drink that she was served.
Okay.
And as a result, was able to testify
Oh my god.
and be this kind of clear witness
Yes.
in this case. And that is very similar to the plot
Wow.
of Blink Twice.
Holy shit.
So
Wild.
P. Diddy, for those who've missed it, has had decades of being a partier, debaucherous, music magnet kind of folk,
Yeah.
and is now on trial because so much of what he's done is horribly illegal and terrible.
Yes.
And I think has been left unchecked, a little bit like the Weinsteins of the world.
Mm.
But this was shrouded in more like party, as opposed to Weinstein, which was just like one or two people behind closed doors.
Yes.
This was out in some form of open,
Mm.
but there was so much going on that was illegal
Yeah.
and horrible, and it's now coming up and biting him in the ass, which is great. But I just love that there's this person who didn't take the sort of roofied drink and can now testify, because in Blink Twice, that when they realize that something is strange on this island, why can't they remember? Why do I have dirt under my nails?
Right.
They then, the second half of the movie is them pretending like they are participating to then see what's going on so that they can escape this island.
Right.
I don't think it gives an incredible amount away, but the movie's been out for a while, so
Yeah,
we can talk about
exactly.
it.
No spoilers in film school. Well, there are spoilers in film school because we need to talk about it.
Hey, did you guys see the trailer for Music by John Williams?
Yes.
No.
So this is a new Disney Plus documentary that's coming out about the career of John Williams.
The very famous music composer
Yes.
who has composed the themes of everything you love.
Everything that you remember.
Jurassic
Everything
Park.
that's good.
Star Wars,
Star
Harry
Wars,
Potter,
E.T.,
Jaws,
yeah.
Superman, all of it is
Yeah.
John Williams.
Isn't he the most nominated person in the
Yeah, I
Oscars
think so.
history?
I think it's him or Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Walt Disney did have a shit ton.
Yeah.
But he's got like 42 or something.
I see.
That's ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
We
And I
just
know,
get the official number. Do you want me to fact
Yeah,
check?
yeah.
fact
do that
check
while
that.
you're
I've got a
looking that up.
feeling John Williams is close to like 50 odd.
I see. But,
Okay.
But I know, so there's this one that's coming out, and there's like a bunch of interviews, like in the trailer, you'll see Steven Spielberg and all these guys. But Steven Spielberg is also working on a documentary about John Williams.
Oh, really?
Okay.
A second documentary?
Yeah, he's making like his own one. Because, I mean, he's had such a long career with the guy. He knows him so
That's
well.
far more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that one.
He's in his 90s now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's still kind of doing stuff. What was the last score? It was Fablemans.
Indiana
eh?
Jones was his
Dial
last
Destiny.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of
Yes.
The
Destiny.
bad one.
Yeah.
The bad movie.
But because I mean those two are so like connected. Even on the very very rare occasions that Spielberg does interviews, he did a series of interviews with I think it was Jon Stewart,
Okay.
and there was a bunch of interviews with him, and then the other half of it was interviews with him and John Williams. It's
Okay.
like they're like inseparable in terms of like their careers.
Yeah, they are.
You know, like you interviewing Steven Spielberg, you have to get John Williams in on the conversation.
Exactly. Like I know he's said that his films wouldn't be what they are
Yeah.
without his score.
Yes.
He's been nominated 48 times for Best Original Score and 5 times for Best Original Song.
Wow.
And he won 4 Oscars for Best Original Score.
Jeez.
So I think he's actually might be the record holder for wins.
He could be, because I think Meryl Streep's only 2. Daniel Day-Lewis is only
No, the
2.
acting is 2.
Yeah.
I think 2 is the most actors I've ever gotten.
Well, I know. What's the guy's name? We were talking about him not that long ago. The guy who did like Murder on the Orient Express.
Oh, Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh has a ton, and all in different categories. He's won in like 6 or 7 different categories for like
interesting.
best director, best screenplay, best original screenplay, best short film,
Oh,
best
yes.
actor. He's won a lot of Oscars,
Okay.
which is wild.
Okay, so it is Walt Disney. This is
Okay.
good for the general knowledge pub quiz.
Yes.
It's like information so that you guys know. Walt Disney has been nominated 59 times, and John Williams is second with 48.
Jeez.
Okay. How many has Walt Disney won?
I don't know. It doesn't
Okay.
say it. I only search nominations. We'll get to
Right.
that next time.
Okay.
Yes.
Hey, did you guys see there is a more revealing trailer of the biopic,
Biopic.
A Complete Unknown, the Timothy Chalamet Ding Dong
Timothée
starring
Chalamet.
film about Bob Dylan.
Yes.
This trailer gives us a bit more. The first one was a little arty and a little slow to sort of just show you the scenes. But this now really reveals the meat of the movie. And I think it's
Okay.
going to be around the point, which seems so silly now, but maybe as a music folk, Cole, you could help me with this. There was such a big moment in music when Bob Dylan went from folk to electric. And he did
Yes.
it, and he did it at a famous folk music festival
Right.
Yes.
where he revealed this kind of electric sound.
Okay.
And it had the whole world be like, what? And
Yeah,
it's
it
like,
was mind-blowing.
and it's
it
like,
caused-
really?
Like, it caused a disruption in the crowd. Like, people lost their shit physically.
Do you think it's the?
Jeez,
Do you think
like-
it's the equivalent of sort of Beyonce doing a country album?
Uh,
But I
I
mean
don't know.
that
Like, she's been setting that up.
Yeah.
sort of decades ago.
I
has
suppose,
has
like,
an impact.
yeah,
I guess.
this is true. Like, Beyonce doing that has had a massive impact on pop culture. But, like, I suppose this is why Rolling Stone magazine
yeah.
call Like a Rolling Stone
Mm.
the best song ever written. I think that might be why, because it was
Nice.
such a watershed moment, that single and that
Yeah.
album.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the moment where he made that shift.
And
Yeah.
and I think it from the trailer reveals that they're gonna sort of make a meal out of that.
Okay.
So that's
It
going
sort
to be a
of
moment
seems to
because
be a
it
moment.
seems like he's dealing with what everyone wants him to be as an artist.
Yeah.
right.
And then he wants to put the finger to all of them. So it's a little bit of his rebellious side.
Okay.
But I'm curious to know the context of the film. And there was one thing that I read, which was like a quote from Bob Dylan. And now this is the problem with the internet, is you don't know whether this is real.
Oh.
But it almost sounded like Bob Dylan like wasn't wild about the movie. He's like, what if I just put on a wig and looked like Timothy Chalamet? Would he like that? That was the quote. And you're like, I don't know whether that's real,
Yes.
but that's not nice. But he's also like, it's amazing that he's around, like he's still with us,
Mm.
but he almost feels like a character. He almost feels like a person in history that's dead
Totally.
because he doesn't.
Yeah,
Continue. He's not like Elton John that's still like,
Yes.
you know, I'm
Out
doing my
there
farewell
and,
tour
yeah.
and I'm still doing, you know, I'll still play at the Olympics.
Yes.
Like Bob Dylan's just like sitting
Yeah.
somewhere.
And I mean, like, he is a caricature because he's got like his Nobel Prize, and like in my mind, only dead people have Nobel Prizes. But then he also made a Christmas album. Did you see this?
Oh.
Like jingle bells, like that kind of shit. It's terrible. Check it out.
Him, not an AI.
Yeah, not an A.
Wow.
He did it by choice. He volunteered that in his
Wild.
career. But talking about Elton John, hey, did you guys see? He's made a documentary.
Oh.
About himself.
Yeah, about himself.
Okay.
So he's made a film about himself, and now he's making a documentary about himself. He's loving
Nice.
his retirements.
Sorry, just to segue back to transitions,
Yeah.
and, you know, things like going from folk to electric. How did the world not make a bigger deal about Michael Jackson becoming white?
I think we all.
Was
Like,
that a big deal, or was I
I think
too
it was
young
a big
for
deal.
that?
I remember
No,
all
I
of us
remember it
talking
being a
about
big-
it.
I remember it being a biggish deal.
Yeah,
I mean, that is a wild fucking thing to have
Yeah.
happened, right?
exactly.
Yes.
And I mean,
Okay.
like the fact that it's so rare, but
Yeah.
it happens to someone who's the most famous person in the world
Yeah.
feels like an astronomical, like odd.
And
Like,
it just feels like a little bit like me accepting I'm not ever going to have electricity in my shop. It just feels like the world was like, okay,
Yeah.
so that's what you look like now. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
But like, it's a fucking weird thing to have happened in
Yes.
history.
Yes.
Like, imagine explaining music history to an alien, and you're like, there was this guy,
Yes.
then he became white. Like, it
Just
is
like-
weird.
probably never ever happened anywhere else
Yeah.
that I can think of.
'Cause he
Maybe we
had
don't
fi-
hear
he-
of it. Like it's
He
this
had
thing.
he had vitiglio.
Something. Yeah.
It's that where sort of spots come up.
Mm,
You've seen
Yeah.
that very famous model that has it, and it
Yes.
is a thing that grows,
mm.
not to the
Yeah,
point that it
exactly.
covers your whole body. So he had surgery done to exacerbate it to become white, but I think he had it and was hiding it for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know a few people who have it, and they're scared that it's going to like like be in a place where people can see it.
Yeah, I've
You
got
know?
a buddy that when it showed up, he did a tattoo around it,
Okay.
and so he can see its growth
How it progresses.
and how it progresses.
Interesting.
That's cool,
But
man.
I'm bringing
But
up
yeah,
my
we need to be more accepting of it.
Yeah.
It's like a thing. It's your body. You know,
Yeah.
what can you
Sure.
do about it?
no, and you could have kind of owned that. It's really interesting that it was obviously at a time where he felt he needed to keep it a secret, and
Yeah, totally.
but then it's like, hey, the fucking cat's out the bag when you become white.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But
Your
I-
entire race changes.
Yeah,
It's like-
I bring it up because just a reminder, there's going to be a film in the early part of next year,
Oh yes.
the biopic
Well,
on Michael Jackson that's called Michael.
yeah.
It's a big ass fucking movie, and
Oh,
it's
and
coming.
his nephew is playing him, right?
It's someone Jackson.
So yeah, it's definitely a family member.
It's a someone Jackson, yeah. And I saw a little trailer of it at that special junket
Okay.
that I have to keep a secret.
Yes.
But it looks interesting.
Okay.
It's going to be a big movie of next year.
Right.
So yeah. Should we get on to the
Well, Cole was
to
in the middle
bigger
of something.
topics? I'm so sorry. You were.
I think
It was about Elton
Yeah.
John and his documentary. Where's it going to be? Do you
Disney
know?
Plus.
Disney
That's
Plus.
also the place where he streamed his farewell tour final concert at Dodger Stadium.
Has
Yeah.
he finished performing live now? at
Oh
this
yeah,
point?
it's gone.
Okay.
And if he had seen my question asked correctly, he could have come to South Africa.
So Cole's shining moment was
Greatest moments of my life.
the greatest moment of Cole's life
Ruined.
was submitting a question to a big question and answer session that
Like
happened
Facebook Live interview.
Okay.
with Elton John, and someone read it a bit too quickly, and it was Cole from South America.
Yeah.
And your question was, would you ever come to South Africa?
Yeah. My mom and I would love to say goodbye.
Okay.
Are you going to come to South Africa again? Is what I said.
Okay.
And it was Cole Matthews.
If some
says,
intern at like his like social media team was like, South Africa's not a continent. He must mean South America.
Yeah. I watched Elton John at the Dome.
Oh,
He
same. I was
performed.
there as well.
Yeah.
That was 2009, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it was a good show.
Cool.
All right.
Hey, I got one more. Did
Cool.
you guys see, on the topic of biopic, if you prefer, did you guys see the trailer for Better Man?
Yes, it's now finally come out.
Yes.
Oh my
we brought this
God.
up a while ago. This is the Robbie Williams biopic,
Yes.
where Robbie Williams is a monkey.
Yes.
It looks
No,
awesome,
this
dude.
this one means a bit to me because our good friend Tom, who's in Short Straw,
Yes.
who now operates around the world as a DOP, had a chance to meet that director. He worked together with him.
Yes, you told me about this.
And he showed him footage.
Nice.
And so Tom was talking about some of the scenes from this movie. And up until that point, we hadn't seen a trailer, but now a trailer's finally come out.
Yes.
So it's the director from Greatest Showman
Yeah.
has made this biopic about Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
But Robbie Williams is a monkey.
flipping
He's
monkey.
a fucking monkey. It's like it's a Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
Well, technically, he's
CGI
an ape,
monkey.
not a monkey. It's just, you know.
He's an ape. He's an ape.
Yes.
But it's like you can play with that so well.
Yeah.
And there's and this is the guy behind Greatest
Yeah.
Showman. So there's gonna be these like musical numbers.
Yeah.
And so it's gonna be cool. And I think
looks
through the
great.
device of the ape,
Yes.
you know, you can play with the idea of Robbie Williams's debauchery and like his demons and his
Yeah.
Or like him just being singled out as a weirdo, you know,
Yeah.
being different to everyone else,
And
like
you-
struggling to fit in. There's a
and-
lot that you can work with there. It's brilliant.
But what I think is so exciting is that he can play himself.
Yes.
So in every other one of these movies, you hire an actor
Yeah.
Yes.
that looks like you, like Chalamet or Rami Malek
Yeah.
or whatever. But here, through the device of the CGI character, you can actually get the man himself to play himself.
Yes.
But
So-
it can, you can play with the idea of aging and
Yeah.
shit like
So
that.
on set, it was a different guy.
Sure, but I'm
then
just
the
saying, like,
voice is
the
Robbie
voice
Williams,
was Robbie Williams.
Oh, I see.
So it's going to be quite special in that regard.
Mm.
I have one more.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's go for it.
Hey, did you guys see Apple TV Plus new series called Disclaimer
Oh, no?
with Kate Blanchett, who's like this world famous award winning journalist
Okay.
that uncovers like deep seated hypocrisy in big organizations.
Yes.
Like big uncovering news stories, scandalous kind of stuff. And a book gets delivered to her house,
Yeah.
and it's written by the actor from Kevin Kline. I was about to say A Fish Called Wonder.
Yes.
His greatest role. he is the father of a son who died in a tragic accident, and she was involved in his death.
Okay.
And now he's uncovering this. It's an 8-part miniseries directed by Alfonso Cuarón.
Oh, cool.
Hey.
Nice.
And the trailer is fantastic. And Kevin Kline, I think, is the most underrated actor alive. He is
Right.
a genius.
So someone who spent their whole career uncovering, the dark, nefarious stuff.
Exactly.
She's now
Got
at
a
the
secret.
She's at the helm of her own dark, nefarious stuff, and he's going to be exposing her.
Exactly. And basically what
Okay.
it takes for her, what she's going to do in response to this.
Right.
The trailer ends with her holding a knife.
Right.
You're just like, this is saucy.
Okay.
Apple TV is fucking good, eh?
Well, speaking of Apple TV, real quick, though, did you guys see the trailer for Before?
No.
So this is, speaking of actors in unusual roles,
Yeah.
this is like a psychological horror series starring Billy Crystal.
Oh,
Yeah.
I saw the poster for it, but I didn't know what it is.
I've never seen him in a dramatic role. It actually looks really good. Like, he's a good actor.
Okay, Before.
Yeah, it's called Before.
Do we know anything about what it's
It's
about?
something about his. So he's a child psychologist, I think, whose wife committed suicide. And there's a child who knows something about him and is somehow connected to him, who also has problems that he's now trying to help this kid
Okay.
through.
Oh,
And
so psychological thriller.
yeah.
Oh,
Has he
It
done
looks
any?
more like horror than thriller.
Has he done anything dramatic?
Not that I've ever seen.
I suppose not dramatic in that sense, but when Harry Met Sally is not strictly comedy,
Yeah, so it's straight comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like you can see the
rom-com.
layers there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I associate him with Oscars.
Oh, he's the
right,
best
'cause
Oscars host.
At my
Yeah.
most impressionable age,
Yes.
13, 14, 15, 16, like he was the host of the Oscars.
Yes.
And whenever he put himself in the scenes,
Mm,
in the sort of opening monologue-y sort of moments,
yes.
and he put himself in the Oscar films of the year
Yeah.
being comedic, I was like, this is genius. This is funny.
Yeah.
His musical number for the 2003 Oscars when Return of the King was nominated. My favorite things was about Lord of the Rings. That's all I remember. And then for Lost in Translation, I think for Sofia Coppola, he took Maria from West Side Story when Sophia, like that. It's hilarious.
He also,
Brilliant.
I brought it up a few weeks ago, just coincidentally. He did a sort of stand-up, sort of one-man show sort of thing called 700 Sundays. I think it's on Showmax.
But was that a new
really good
film? that
No,
he
this was a
brought
few years ago. This was like 10 years or so years ago. It's
Okay.
it's based on his autobiography.
up? Okay.
And he turned it into this sort of stand-up thing. It's just the story of his life told semi-comedically, semi-seriously.
So more of a sort of one-person show.
Yeah, kind of. But it's really good.
And that's on Showmax.
I think it's on Showmax, yes.
700 Sundays.
Yeah, he called it 700 Sundays because he estimates roughly that's how many days he had with his dad. Because his dad worked 6 days a week and he was only home on Sundays. And he died quite young.
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's really, really
I'm
good.
sold on that already.
Yeah, that title is hectic.
Right?
Magic. Okay, let's move on
Yes.
to films.
Let's do it.
The big one.
Mm.
The
The big one, yeah.
the grande dame of films of the week was obviously Joker.
Joker floppier, dude, am I right?
Folie
Am I
bien. We went to a special premiere of it
Yes.
last week. It then opened in cinemas over the weekend.
Mm.
And it is number one in South Africa in terms
Yeah.
of the movies because I think it was just such a eagerly anticipated film.
Yes.
And it would be interesting to see what the general public's reaction is
Yeah.
to it because we got whiffs of the critics' reaction to
Mhm.
it. And it was not good.
Yeah.
But we went into the screening, and for 2.5 hours, the 3 or 4 of us, how many of us was there? 3 of us. It was the 3 of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We didn't laugh.
Yeah.
We didn't nudge each other and go, "How cool!"
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about it.
My favorite was watching Russ next to me, writhing in discomfort whenever a new music number began. And
Well-
it's like you normally get really excited when a new
Yes.
music number happens, right? You get stimulated, but
The
in this
energy
film,
normally goes up.
it's just and
Yeah.
I could see Russ going
Yes.
No, and
shuffling in discomfort. So I was like, because sitting through that was hard.
Yes.
I love musicals.
Yeah.
And so, but that wasn't a musical.
No.
It was just moments where people sort of very uncertainly sang old jukebox songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a musical.
Mm.
But let's start this off with one important question, which is why did we like the first Joker and why was it successful?
I like the first Joker because I didn't like the first Joker. I don't like that movie.
Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe you're not the person to
I
speak
actually
on.
wanted to bring this up as well. I think like
Okay.
how we feel about the first one is like kind of part of this conversation.
Exactly. That's
Yes.
why I want to start there.
Yes.
So, in a world of glossy, big Marvel superhero films, where this is very much the era where they dominated the box office,
Yes.
here comes a more grimy, indie-looking,
Yeah.
art house feeling interpretation of the Batman world. We
Yeah.
don't even get a glimmer of Batman.
Yeah.
And we have Joaquin Phoenix acting his pants off, winning an Oscar for the first Joker film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a mid-budget character drama. It's not a comic book movie.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
think perhaps why it did so well was that it was different, and it had some authenticity and integrity as a sort of an art house art product,
Yes.
as opposed to this popcorn movie. But did you like it, Cole, the first Joker?
I can't remember much about it. I think that's also, it was before I knew what an incel was,
Yes.
and before I knew that the film was a dog whistle for
Yeah.
incels.
So just
But when I watched it,
elaborate on that, because that's
Sure.
important.
it is really important. I think that I enjoyed it, or like, enjoy is a really weird word to use in a
Yes.
film where you're not meant to like the protagonist, you know? You're not meant to sympathize with them.
I disagree with that.
Yes, I know what you mean. I know what
Yes.
you're going to say. Like Todd Phillips has an intention.
Yeah.
He didn't get that across at all,
Yes.
which is, did you direct it well?
Yeah.
You know, that's the question we need to ask about it,
Yes.
because clearly it's a Patrick Bateman kind of situation where you have a psychotic, murderous,
Yeah.
like bad person.
Are you still
right?
talking about the first one?
Yes, both.
Okay.
Where you're not meant to like this character, but this is a character study of this person, how
Yeah.
they move in the world,
Mm.
right?
Okay.
But what you have in this situation is a person that you begin pitying, and you just think to yourself, I shouldn't be pitying this person, because what ends up happening is that you have this framing of women,
Yes.
and especially through his mother. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember a lot about it, but there's the woman in his apartment block, and he fantasizes and fictionalizes a lot of the engagements he has with her.
Yes.
And then I don't think he realizes, I can't remember, that all of that was a lie.
Mhm.
And she's being standoff. She's like, "What the hell you want? Why are you in my apartment?"
Yeah.
Because he's a stranger to her.
Yeah.
All the fantasies that he's had of her
Mm.
are not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So he's like owed something from her.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of the character's approach.
Mm.
Right. I don't want to talk about it too much more, but
Yeah.
it's
But the first one ends with him killing a bunch of people, one of which is live on air.
Yeah.
And that seems to make him a figurehead in this Gotham
Yes.
city. And it ends with him being incarcerated.
Yeah, because what you're saying here is like cases like Patrick Bateman and like Tyler Durden.
yes.
These are characters that are often like they're misinterpreted by the audience
Yes.
as we're meant to engage with them in a certain way. I don't think the audience is misinterpreting what they're doing with the Joker.
Right.
I think they're deliberately trying to make us empathize with this guy.
Right.
I think that's what the first movie is doing,
Yes.
which is just wrong on every level.
Yes.
We should hate this dude.
Exactly.
And like the way it's portrayed in that film, in the first film I'm talking about, there's in the background of this movie there are these there's these protests that are going on, right? And it's like the gist of it is like there's a bunch of people protesting that rich people are rich, which is a bit like if that was ever going to happen, it would have happened by now.
Yes.
But what it's saying is, and then at the end of the film, once after he kills Robert De Niro and all that thing, and the protesters, this mob like, you know, hero turns him into a hero essentially. Like they embrace this guy for doing it, right? In saying that, these people are these are the 99%, the every people are like protesting the rich.
Yes.
They're saying to us, the protesters are us. It's the audience.
Yes.
That's us. So
Yes.
it's saying we believe you would empathize with the Joker.
Right. And you
If
would
this
hold
person
him up
was
as a
real,
hero.
you would hold him up as a hero, not Batman, not a character like Batman.
Yes.
And I'm like, that is wrong.
That is
Yeah,
fucking
so
wrong.
I think a lot of people went out and enjoyed the movie
Yes.
because it was well acted. There were these crazy sort of scenes that I think shocked
Beautifully
us,
shot.
that sort of
Great
remembered
music
us.
as well.
There was these iconic moments, like we all know the stairs and him dancing on the
Yes.
stairs. So they made this iconic film.
Yeah.
I think it had an extra boost by what you're saying, certain individuals identifying with him.
Yeah.
I don't think that was what made up the majority of its success. I think it was
Yeah.
just this good film that was refreshingly different that the world needed. It's a little bit like after certain stale, boring politicians, a Trump is interesting because he's charismatic and he gets the audience
Right.
thinking, and maybe he'll shake it up a bit. I'm
Yeah.
talking like 2016.
Yeah.
This is why everyone was saying
Americans.
he speaks his mind, that Donald Trump. That's why I like him.
Yeah, exactly. So here's this movie that comes along that kind of changes it and plays with the idea of the comic book movie.
Yeah.
But then I think the cup spilleth over with the incels, which make up a large swaying chunk,
Yeah.
identifying with this character and liking this movie.
Yeah, like the like voices online. It's got
Yes,
quite.
Which
I was going to
fuel
say
things,
particularly
which,
online.
Yeah, that's
which
where.
just fuel the algorithms, which fuel
Yeah.
all these kinds of things. And so they do make a difference. So here comes the sequel, which French translates to like joint madness, like two people mad.
It's like a shared delusion.
Shared
Folly or do-
delusions,
yeah.
that's the better word.
Mm.
And then we get told it's going to be a musical.
Yes.
And then the world's like, what? No, fuck, no. And then it's like, no, well, it's not quite a musical.
Yeah,
but
2
it's
weeks
like,
before.
They
it's like,
then
it's not musical.
they then tried to sort of change it. But what we can say is that it's clearly him trying to course correct the way that first one sort of made this villain a hero, right?
Yes.
In some ways, it kind of becomes that late in the film.
The movie is a majoritively a courtroom drama.
Yes. Yeah.
And it yeah. Let's get into it.
Yeah,
It's not it doesn't land.
No.
I think we wanted it to go somewhere.
Yes.
And it
Because-
kind of doesn't,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Is that the sort of simplified
Yes.
version of this movie? It's like
Yes.
there were a couple of moments like basically the whole premise of the movie is him now on trial for the crimes that he committed in the
Yes.
first film.
Yeah.
And the premise of the movie is does he have a split personality? Is he fucked in the head?
Yes.
Like, can you plead insanity? Or is he aware of what's going on?
Yeah.
And like, is the Joker another character? And there's even this moment in the movie where he represents himself with the Joker makeup on.
Yes.
And you're like, this could be an iconic scene,
Right.
but it isn't.
Yes.
He puts on like a weird black sort of 1940s accent and speaks some
yes.
shit. And you're like, what the fuck's going on, guys?
Yeah.
And then,
Why
as
is
we
he not
said,
being the Joker, but he's being performative as the Joker, but as
Yes.
someone else?
but it's like a weird
Yeah.
black guy.
Yes.
I do declare
Yeah.
the something. It's like, what is that decision? But and
Yeah,
then
why are
we
you copying? What's the character's name in Knives Out that Daniel Craig plays?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, why are you sounding like him?
it's weird. And then of course, someone we haven't even brought up yet
Mhm.
is the fact that Lady Gaga is in this movie,
Yes.
and
She's bland.
she's bland.
Yeah.
And what most folk have said in their reviews is that she was underutilized.
Mm.
Yeah, but like, how do you make Lady Gaga boring? I don't understand that. Like, she's an incredible actor, but she's the world's best performer. Like arguably, right?
Yeah.
She's
Yes.
like one of the most iconic performers we have.
Yes.
She knows how to entertain. She knows how to be charismatic,
Yeah.
and she kind of is that. It's like below. You can see her trying to get out,
Mm.
but there's this narrative. It's the story
Yeah.
that just you can't break through when there's no good conflict, there's no
Yes.
good drama, there's no good character goals, there's no
Exactly.
stakes. Like, all the basic fundamentals of good storytelling are not present in this movie.
Yes.
So I heard one thing which was interesting, which was that if you going in thinking it's gonna take these huge, bold, dramatic turns and
Yeah.
be completely bonkers, like a
Mm.
big wild swing, you are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But if you know that it is a character study that is really looking, once again, like the first one, at just this one person's mental health,
Mm.
perhaps a second viewing or the correct frame could have you enjoy this film.
Right.
Interesting. And it's a musical,
Yes.
right? So it's a musical, it's not a musical. That's one of the problems, is like, what does
Yeah.
it want to be? And the musical numbers are framed as being inside the Joker's mind, like a
Yes.
reflection of his psychosis, right?
Yeah, because
And
to be
also-
clear, in musicals, just to say that in musicals, it's a given that the musical numbers are non-literal,
Yes.
Yes.
right? They're not actually people singing. It's just kind of it's an expression of like the meta text, essentially.
Yes.
And this like really like makes us know that they're not literal.
Yes.
And they're completely separate from everything else.
Exactly, and that they have no bearing on the plot
Exactly.
whatsoever, right? But then if it's part of his imagination and he's imagining himself on this rooftop with these lights at, say,
Yes.
Arkham Hotel, whatever, and this like great sound stage and a television program, just like, you have the most boring imagination in the fucking world, dude. Like, if you get to play in the mind of someone and create a
Yes.
musical number inside of the Joker's mind,
Yeah.
that is the most undercooked idea I've ever seen in a
Yeah.
film. It's terrible.
Well, yeah, my feeling was like, I get the idea, and we could do it once,
Yeah.
like a big old number, maybe a second time. But this was like what, 4 or 5
were a
times?
lot
There were about
of-
5 times,
Yeah.
and they weren't original songs
Yeah.
that were made specifically for the story. They were, as you said, a jukebox musical,
Yes.
which is the term when you take already existing songs and you interpret them into your musical. And so they didn't, that's why I rolled like by the third or the fourth one,
Yeah.
because I was like, all I know now is that for the next 2 minutes, we're just going to hear him sing.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not even like good singing. You know, we know he's got a good voice. He did the Johnny Cash biopic, but he's this fragile, frail person.
yeah.
And same with Harley, well, Lee or whatever her name was, the Harlequin character played by Lady Gaga. They were all these like very whispery, trying to find my voice kind of songs, you know, really said sort of beneath their breath.
Yes.
And so fucking by the third or fourth one of those, you're like, fuck, man.
Yeah. And they're not like informing us about the characters in any way.
Yeah.
You know, if they were like really underpinning like a character's journey in some way, which is typically what musical numbers do.
Yes.
Yeah.
They weren't really, they're just there for their own sake. They're not there for the movie.
No.
And it also feels like Todd Phillips, who I think Todd Phillips is kind of a problem. I think he's a very surface level director.
Yeah.
I don't think he has defined the substance and stuff like this. But it feels like he didn't want to make a musical.
Yeah.
It feels like this wasn't his idea, but he was kind of like forced into it essentially.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels like he's very resistant to like the film he's making.
If you're excited about making a musical of a courtroom drama, you get Razzle Dazzle from Chicago,
Yes.
which is funny,
Yeah.
fun to watch. It's a sing-along tune. You know, it's got all the things that a Joker musical should be.
Exactly.
How many times did you fucking laugh in this movie? Jesus.
Yeah.
Like-
So there were not even those moments where we even sniggered or laughed or did things.
And that's like another point of like the underpinning of his character in the first one of this being this aspiring stand-up comedian.
Yes.
We don't see any of that in this.
Yeah.
There's no joke in the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
But then also they play off his comedy in the first movie as not being funny. That's the
Yes.
whole premise, right?
he thinks he's funny.
He thinks he's funny.
Yeah.
But then the problem, I think, fundamentally with this character on screen is like, you can't like him.
Yeah.
So how are you going to sympathize with him?
Yes.
How are you going to sympathize with the drama?
Mm,
You know, unless you're doing it because of what we spoke about in the first film,
yes.
which is inherently problematic.
Yeah.
You know?
I think there's something that you can do there, and like Mark Hamill's Joker does this perfectly.
Right.
Is they kind of trick you into liking him because he is very funny and he is charismatic.
Yes.
And then he does something that makes you go, oh wait, he's terrible.
Oh, wait, he's like a terrorist.
Yes, like
Oh, that's
you find
interesting,
yourself
yeah.
liking him, but then he like undercuts it by, you know,
Yeah, then he beats up one of
planting
the
a-
robins with the baseball bat.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
know?
Okay. Sure. I think that explains it. Yeah. And I think, you know, maybe the one redeeming thing, as I said, is that if you do hear this thought
Mm,
and you're perhaps a bit more prepared for the film, you could perhaps enjoy it.
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
But it's a very interesting moment to have had such a big budget production get away with telling this particular story.
I was about to say, it's a $200 million movie. Where did all that money go?
Sure.
It doesn't look like a $200 million movie at all. It's a courtroom, like the main locations are a courtroom and an asylum.
Yeah.
What
Where's the
hell,
money?
dude? And you look at Alien Romulus, that was $80 million.
$80 million, yeah. But you think
It's
about it,
less
like
than half.
it doesn't look or feel any bigger than the first one, which cost $50 million.
Yeah. It's a
Where
good
the hell
point.
did all that money go?
What the hell, dude?
I genuinely don't understand it.
Are we correct in saying 200 million?
$200 million.
Yeah. Which is the Marvel
It's
esque
yeah.
budget. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in the realm of the Marvel
Of like big
budget.
visual effects movies, which this wasn't one of those.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
you think that's going to go to the musical numbers and the sound stages and the set building for it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, unless everything in this movie was a set.
Yes.
And they literally built like everything from the ground up, which I doubt they did. Especially for like big exteriors of courtrooms and that sort of thing. You're not building that stuff.
No.
Interesting.
Well, you shouldn't be.
Yes.
You know?
Another movie that I was, I think, a little disappointed in,
Oh, really?
which I spoke about last week, was Wolves,
Oh, okay.
which is the big George Clooney, Brad Pitt film that arrived on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, you hadn't finished watching
I
it
hadn't
last
finished
week.
watching it.
Yeah.
I have since finished it, and I'm still not wowed.
Okay.
It was also another moment of big actors being somewhat underutilized
Okay.
from a story perspective that perhaps didn't go as far or as wide as we wanted it to.
Okay.
But still worth your time on the couch.
Okay.
I think there is something to it. But yeah.
I've heard like a criticism I've heard is something like that's somewhat comparable like the Ocean's movies.
Yeah.
Which are very cool movies. Like they just like they're cool without trying to be cool. The criticism I heard is this is trying too hard to kind of be cool in the same way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work
that's
very well.
That's perfect because there are a couple of moments where you're like, okay, got it.
Yes.
You're grumpy about having to work together.
Yes.
Now move on.
Okay.
But they make that joke like 3 or 4 times and they stretch it out.
Sure.
And then it's like, then you only start getting the glimmer of their bromance because basically this is 2 sort of assassin-y type figures.
Yes.
You know, these kind of mysterious jobs that only exist in the movies.
Yes.
They probably do in real life, but
Yeah.
like, you know, the movies make these kinds of people out to be real. The assassins, and in this case, it's the fixers,
Right.
who are the people you call to fix a problem. A problem starts, and George Clooney is brought in, only to discover that Brad Pitt is also brought in, and the 2 of them have to work together to solve this problem over the course of the night.
Okay.
There's nice little twists and turns. It's not shit,
Mm.
but I'm not raving about it.
Okay.
Any other movies?
No.
No.
Okay, cool. Should we go on to TV?
Sure.
Cole,
Yeah.
you've been wanting to talk about Agatha All Along.
Yes, Agatha All Along, which was a nice surprise, right? So I stayed away from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Hawkeye series, because I wasn't particularly interested in that and doing more of the Marvel grind.
Yeah.
I think around the time that those came out. Then Agatha All Along pops up, and it's a spin-off of WandaVision.
Yes.
So
This exists in the Marvel television universe.
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
much, and they took that like quite literally in WandaVision, where
Yeah.
it's very much about being television through the ages, like in this kind of meta narrative. That's all because of Wanda's magic, and eventually this magic unravels. And one of the neighbors in this like beautiful little idyllic sitcom is Agatha, and she's revealed to not just be one of the neighbors; she's a witch, like Wanda.
Right.
And played by Catherine Hahn. So I don't know if you guys remember Catherine Hahn from Parks and Recreation, where she was the political advisor.
Yeah, she's great.
And
You'll
she was
recognize her from being
hilarious.
in lots and lots of stuff.
Hilariously funny. And that doesn't change here. She is so charismatic. She is like a comic lead, which is funny. So this is played off as being incredibly campy. It's about a coven of witches.
Okay.
After the events of WandaVision, Agatha is being pursued by the Salem 7.
Okay.
Who are like these, they don't talk about them much, but they're just like scary fucking old witches.
Oh, right.
And she fucked up a bit, and now they're coming to fuck her up. Basically, that's the turn that I've got there.
It might be important to mention, and perhaps you can confirm this, you don't have to have watched all this other stuff.
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay,
It certainly complements it, but if you have missed all of WandaVision and all of Marvel stuff, you could still appreciate this
They
show.
do refer to it in the first episode, a little
Okay.
bit of it, but not to the point where you're going to be confused, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all of this is on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And eventually this group of misfit witches are pulled together, and they have to walk the deep roads, or like the Witches' Road. Sorry, Deep Roads is Dragon Age. That's what I'm playing at the moment. The Witches' Road, which is you need a coven to enter it, and they form this coven in order to escape the Salem 7. So she's lying to them about why she's going in. So there's that to play on. And yeah, it was entertaining, scary, funny first 3 episodes, and campy as hell.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to ask my friend Shayna what the style of humor is that women have in comedies. Like if Anchorman and Hot Rod and American Pie are like boyish humor.
Yeah.
What is the fun equivalent of like Legally Blonde and
Right.
Mean Girls? And
Yes.
there's like this feminine campiness.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what that is called.
Okay.
And this like takes that and hams it up quite a bit.
Okay.
And it's a shit ton of fun.
Cool.
Interesting. It's funny to kind of dissect forms of humor
Mm.
because a person like Will Ferrell plays straight.
Yes.
He plays a straight man,
Yes.
but so ridiculous that it's funny. But he maintains a serious face.
Yes.
And in Hot Rod, Andy Samberg believes he's cool.
Yeah.
But he's fucking not cool.
Yes.
But he believes he's cool, and
Yeah.
that's the joke.
Right.
Interesting to sort of play with like what is
Yeah,
humor.
because the only
Yeah.
word we have for that is campy. Like,
Yes.
it's the only word I can really come up with. But
Nice.
it'll be
Campy, I
interesting to figure
believe,
that
would
out.
be aware of its silliness,
Yes.
and it would own its dumbness.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like that does happen to an extent. Absolutely.
Because then when you speak of Mean Girls is just smart, funny writing. Like it's
Yes.
all in the wit of like the quick, quippy dialogue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Penguin. Sorry, to just go back to dark DC world. Penguin exists in the same world that
The Joker does.
our friend the Joker is. If you started Penguin.
Yes. So it's on Showmax
Cool.
for us South Africans.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like The Sopranos.
Okay.
Like you're watching Goodfellas or The Sopranos.
Yeah.
It's like a mobster
Yeah.
world.
It's a mobster drama. And it's all about like the misadventures of Penguin, but in this power vacuum that's happened post the Batman film.
Yes.
Right? So where Salvatore Maroni.
No, he's
Something
the guy
along those
who.
lines.
It's Carmine Falcone.
Oh.
That's what's the actor's name?
Hank Azaria.
No, it's not Hank Azaria.
Isn't that Hank Azaria?
But quite a while ago, not too long ago, we were treated to
I see the guy get confused with Hank Azaria.
a new version of Batman
Yeah.
where Robert Pattinson played a very dark and like both literal and figurative dark Batman. And we were treated to Penguin being
Yes.
Colin Farrell in a
Yes.
very done prosthetic makeup to
Yeah.
be this big Italian mobster boss, as opposed to the very campy, to go back to that term, Tim Burton version of
Yes.
the Penguin, which we have really only ever seen,
Yeah.
which was the Danny DeVito sort of gothic,
Yeah.
campy.
Yes.
And
Penguin.
it's cool to see how they interpreted his penguinness
Yes.
with the fact that he's got that stumpy foot and he walks and waddles like a penguin.
Oh, is that how they've done
Yeah.
it? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And that's really cool. The actor we're thinking of is John Turturro.
John Turturro, yeah. That's Falcone, yeah.
Don't know why I get him and Frank Azaria confused.
I don't know.
John Turturro.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's I know the name. What's the character? What has he done?
Oh my lord, he's been in so much stuff. Big Lebowski.
Oh, he's the
Oh,
guy with
he's-
the polished bowling
brother
balls.
with-
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus in the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's great.
Barton Fink.
Yeah, Barton
Yeah.
Fink. All right. Okay, so you're enjoying it. It's also
It
only
is.
getting started. It's episodic.
Yes, so it's only getting started now, and I think the highlights of this series is like the performances obviously are incredible, and the Penguin is great himself. But there's another actor involved in this, and her name is Kristen Milioti.
Oh,
And she
okay.
plays Sophia Falcone, the daughter of the mob boss who was murdered in the previous one, right?
Right.
And I can't tell you how duplicitous.
Oh, nice word.
Yeah, very good. And sneaky, the Penguin is.
Oh,
He is
right.
playing like every single person in this field as a lowly henchman whose boss has just been murdered. Right. And now there's this power vacuum that everyone's trying to grab.
Is that what the point of the story is?
Yes.
In the wake of this power vacuum, could he rise up to be powerful?
Yes.
This is on Showmax.
Yeah.
Because it is a HBO
Mm.
film.
So Kristen Milioti plays the Hangman. I don't know if
Okay.
you've heard of the Batman villain, the Hangman.
No.
So she's basically gone around and murdered a whole bunch of people and then put in Arkham for it. And for some reason, she's out of Arkham now.
Okay.
And now she's trying to manage the family drama.
Right.
And Penguin is lying to her.
okay.
And he's won her over
Okay.
against her own better judgment. It's
Cool.
very good.
In the world of DC, as you
Yes.
say, Arkham, and there's Gotham, which we all know.
Mm.
And we've also always known that Gotham is New York City. They
Yeah,
kind of, it's an inspiration of, it's the
Yes.
same, it's inspired by, it's very much the heart of it.
Yeah.
and Arkham is a little bit like what's the Rikers Island, which is the prison in New York,
Yes.
on the outskirts of the city.
Yes.
I have one question for you, and perhaps this can be our something that could potentially wrap up today's shift. In Joker sequel, they say the people of New York City.
Yes.
Why the fuck did they say that?
I don't know. 'Cause
They've
the first one they definitely refer to it as Gotham.
In Joker sequel, they say Gotham. They use the word Gotham. We all know it's the aesthetic of New York. They do say Gotham.
So is he from Gotham, but he's been tried in New York for some reason?
But why the fuck in this world did they bring up New York?
So okay, they actually did explain this at one point in
Okay.
DC. So like Marvel Comics, they all exist in like New York City, San Francisco, all these real places. In DC, there's
They've made
Bloodhaven.
up names. Yeah.
Yes. So they did back in the day. They used to do Marvel DC crossovers quite commonly.
Yes.
And in one of those things, the Marvel characters pointed out or realized that Earth in the DC universe is like 10% bigger than it is in like our universe.
Okay.
So there's physically more space.
Okay.
So there's literally like between cities, there's larger spaces. So there are more cities that have popped up in spaces between cities.
Okay.
They literally they went,
Wow.
wait a minute, we need to explain how Gotham and New York can both exist
Yes.
in
Okay, so-
roughly the same place.
Okay. So in the world of DC, although Bruce Wayne and everything is all about Gotham City,
Yes.
New York is
New
still
York
a
still
place.
exists. Washington still exists.
Okay. Because I thought there was such a break of
Yes.
the sort of the fourth wall where
Yeah.
all of a sudden in this courtroom drama the head juror said New York
Yeah.
and not Gotham.
Yes. Because in like the early days, they were obviously like
That seems unnecessary.
inventing cities
That
that
seems-
were parallels to real cities.
It seems unnecessary and confusing. They
Yeah.
should have just said the people of Gotham.
Like Gotham was obviously New York, Metropolis was Washington,
Yeah.
Coast City was Seattle. Like you
Yeah,
know,
sure. No, all of that makes sense. They should have
Yes.
just kept that. going.
Yes.
Anyways. Magic, guys.
Yeah.
What a nice little catch up.
Yeah, it was lovely.
And Coley, you're going to go on a nice big adventure soon.
Yeah. 4 weeks in the UK.
It's very exciting, man.
So I'll be away. I'm going to try watch some movies that we can't watch here.
Yeah.
What are
Just gonna
you
be
What are you
cool.
aiming for?
The Substance
Yeah.
with Demi Moore and Megalopolis, if it's still on, because I think
It might be pulled from
Yeah.
cinemas.
Yeah.
like, because apparently they do their programming week by week. So I can't book for this weekend now because it's not Thursday yet.
Okay.
They release the new like schedule of films like the Friday before, unless it's a new release.
Right.
Yeah, I can tell you why. Because cinemas, like the Bioscope, have to book week by week because the economy of a film is different in every week of its release.
Right.
So they don't want to commit too far in advance
Right.
because they want to see how to chop and change and which will make the cut
Yeah.
and which will be brought
I'm worried
in.
that I'm like a week late because everyone's looking at Megalopolis making less money than Cats,
But
and
it's wild.
Borderlands.
It's wild that you've got such a potential stonker on your hands and you want to go and watch it.
We have to watch it. We have to watch it, guys.
No, I know, but I'm saying
I agree with
think
that, but
that's
making
really
it part of like
interesting.
a UK trip is fascinating to me.
Well, it's a testament as to why you belong behind the counter of the video store
Yes.
because when you travel, you want to go and visit a cinema and watch a movie.
Totally.
That's exactly what I want to do.
Yes.
Sometimes I don't always have the time to go and actually watch a movie, but when I was in Amsterdam, I like tracked down 1 or 2 cinemas just to walk in and see the lobby and
Yeah.
Yeah.
take photos, and like I'm that kind of person. I spent a month in New York, and literally on every day, so in about 20 or 30 days,
Yeah.
I was able to visit one different film-related site in
Oh,
each
right.
day, be it a museum or a cinema.
Cool.
And I was kind of on my own. I had friends there that I was visiting, but I had enough time to watch quite a lot of movies, which was quite
Okay.
cool to sit in these cinemas and experience it. Geek.
Total.
Magic. Thank you, guys. Thanks for the day. Coley, enjoy your trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you can't be at my wedding, which is
Yeah.
coming up also
And your
in,
bachelors.
in a few days. Yeah, the bachelor weekend is this coming weekend, which is very exciting. So yeah, safe travels.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
And once again, thanks guys for tolerating us. We can't do the Tuesday this week as a result of what I said at the beginning. So it's cool that we could still get a little epi out because
Yes.
we had to talk about Joker.
Yeah.
All right.
This is true.
Magic. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening.
Mm.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.